The 2018 Florida Gators.
Did you see Will? Is Will there too? Did you talk to Will? Didn't you talk to Will earlier today? Well, if you want to respond on Twitter just to Shay Byram, said that you did. Yeah. So they didn't hear what we said. But I'll write back to you. No, I don't want to get on this contest. It's more of a 20 contest.
Let's give a hand for the D9 7U Homewood Patriots.
Yeah. All right, I'll go right now. Yeah. Yeah.
The umpires for tonight's game are Marcus Patillo at first, Stinson Bradley at second, Mark Chapman at third, and Tony Walsh behind the plate.
Hey, Brian, you got me? Brian? Hey, Brian. 1 2 1 2. We good? Brian. Brian.
Round 2 of Sports Talk up next with your hosts Phil Corbett, Will Pelagic, and the Professor Tom Hayes. Don't leave us hanging. Join the show, 800-956-7266.
Welcome back, Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network on this Wednesday, the 23rd day of May, 2018, on what's been a busy day of baseball in both Hoover as well as Durham. Will Pelagic, Phil Corbett, Professor Tom Hayes with you here, broadcasting from beautiful locations, not only from our Columbia studios, where Pro is sitting. Corn is in Hoover. I'm in Durham. The situation right now, from Clemson's perspective, pretty comfortable. They play in the bottom of the 6th inning with a 21-4 lead. They're coming up to be 4 defensive outs away from run-ruling Notre Dame and getting ready for the winner-take-all game in Pool B with Miami, which comes your way tomorrow at 7 o'clock. Pittsburgh's already won, or excuse me, Louisville's already won today by a score of 10-2. In that contest earlier today. Georgia Tech and North Carolina will play later on tonight following this contest. The winner of that game will win North Carolina's Pool A. It also marks Tar Heels' first entrance into the tournament. Owen, what's going on with you in the great state of Alabama?
Well, we're just about ready for first pitch between LSU and Florida. Florida makes its debut in the tournament. LSU, a winner yesterday over Mississippi State. We've had Auburn beat Ole Miss 9-3. We've had Texas A&M shut out Georgia 7-0. And South Carolina and Arkansas will wrap it up. Looks like we're going to have a good night for the weather. A lot of rain. This has been kind of a lucky day weather-wise, because where I'm staying about 10 miles away from Hoover, we had rain practically all morning and all afternoon. But out here in Hoover, the rain never affected the play of the game, so we've had no interruption from that standpoint. We just had some slow-moving baseball games. And it looks like right now it's not sun shining. I mean, we do have some overcast skies, but I don't see a threat of rain at this point, so that's a good thing. And maybe we'll get out of here before the sun rises, unlike this morning, when we were here till well, I was the last one out of the stadium except for the people cleaning up. I closed the door behind me as I left, and I turned off the lights. It's a beautiful place to be at 4 in the morning, the Hoover Met.
You had some comments last night from Jonah Bride you wanted to get to as well?
Absolutely. Jonah Bride, the Gamecock, the third baseman, made a really big defensive play that saved the Gamecocks bacon. He turned a double play, went to his backhand to spear a ball down the third base line, stepped on the bag to force one, through to first to get the double play and get the Gamecocks out of a threat. He spoke with the media after the game. He also had a big hit in their 3-run rally in the 7th inning. And he talked about, of course, getting that win last night, staying alive in the tournament, and keeping things rolling.
How about that the 7th inning there, the rally?
Yeah.
Scored 3 runs. Just talk about how that transpired. You had the big hit there to drive in that 4th run.
Yes, sir. Throughout the game, I think we put together some good at-bats, but we couldn't put them together all at once. And I think in that inning, we got a lot of guys on, and we were able to drive them in. It's just quality at-bat after quality at-bat.
What were they doing, I guess, through the first couple innings to keep you off balance and keep you off the board? You guys strung together a couple hits, but what were they doing to kind of keep you off?
I mean, that kid's a good pitcher. He's a Friday-night guy, and he's highly thought of. And he was throwing he had a lot of change-ups, and we had our chances, like I said. But in the 7th inning, it was good to string them all together and get some runs on the board.
You ever played a game this late before?
I was thinking about that before the game. Even with the travel ball growing up, how crazy all those schedules would be, playing 3 games a day and ending at 12 now. I don't think it's been this late. But it doesn't feel like that right now, honestly. Especially with the win, we're happy and get some sleep and ready for the same schedule tomorrow probably.
One give with 1 hit. How confident are you guys now when you have to go mid-game to your bullpen and run some guys out there?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, Carmen gave us a great start. He really competed out there, and he looked like a freshman to me, and that was awesome. And then Gilreath, Eddie, and Oh, Graham. Yeah, they all did awesome. I mean, the stuff they have, they can just throw over the plate, and they're gonna be able to get out. So that was really good.
You guys, I think, after 18th conference win, just what does it say about this team? And I guess, do you guys start thinking about potentially hosting now that you're in the double elimination port, kind of that being in reach?
Yeah, I mean, we haven't really talked about it, but we all have to know it's starting 5 today. Starting 5 at SC play to get to where we are now. It's great, and it shows a lot about this team.
John, what do you remember about that Arkansas series in Fayetteville? Really tight games. I know you want to get some payback later tonight.
That's funny. Yeah, I mean, they're a really good ball club. I remember that it was really chilly there, but I mean, their guys threw really well against us, and hopefully tomorrow we can string together some hits. But, I mean, they're a complete ball club. They can really hit. They got some really good arms. We'll see what they're doing tomorrow and prepare for that.
They were 14-1 in the SEC at home. That one loss was to you guys.
Really? I knew that they have 3 losses at home total.
3 total,
so that,
one SEC.
Yeah, that feels good for sure. I mean, we know that we're going to have to play our best game tomorrow, and they're really respected, and they're going to be a national seed for a reason. So, I mean, we just got to come out and play our best ball.
What did you guys do today to kill time waiting around?
We had team breakfast, and then really we just sat around. I mean, some people slept. There's the mall we can go to. Just hang around with teammates. I was watching all the games, so it's fun. Just chill around the hotel sometimes, and that late of a start's not usual, but it worked out for us.
You guys were left off the postseason honor list by the SEC. Nobody selected for anything, yet you had the best SEC record in the second half. A little extra motivation maybe to come to Hoover and kind of show people, hey, we're kind of a little bit better than people think.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we were definitely, shocked by that no one was honored. I think that we've showed that we can play some really good baseball, and not having anybody honored is definitely kind of disappointing. So, yeah, come out here and let's make it win Hoover. Why not?
That's Jonah Bride, South Carolina's third baseman here on Sports Talk South Carolina Radio Network. We're brought to you by the South Carolina soybean farmers and their checkoff. Learn more at scsoybeans.org. Pork powered by soy, and also by Founders Federal Credit Union. Visit foundersfcu.com to see how they can assist you in all of your financial needs. Clemson now 3 defensive outs away from closing out Notre Dame in run rule fashion as we head to the 7th inning with the Tigers up 21-4. South Carolina tonight, the final game of the evening against Arkansas. Logan Chapman on the hill, and I think that part of it, Corn, at least stands to reason that the pitching plan for Mark Kingston will now kind of go business as usual with Chapman, Hill, and Morris going forward.
Yeah, certainly looks that way, and plus his bullpen is in pretty good shape too. Didn't use Sawyer Bridges last night, so he's got him available. He can probably go back to Demurius a little bit tonight if he needs him. Maybe even Graham Lawson, who's emerged big time for him here of late, can go to him if necessary. So I think the things are shaping up well from that standpoint. Let me update here. We're scoreless, 2 outs, top of the first. LSU at the plate against Florida, and Samford has just beaten Furman in the Southern Conference Tournament 4-0. I need to wrap up the recruiting report because I failed to do that. So let me get back into what I was talking about recruiting-wise. After Josh Belk, linebacker N'Kobe Dean of Horn Lake, Mississippi, visited Clemson earlier this week. He also visited Georgia. He's a national recruit. He has Clemson among his favorites at this point. The visit with Clemson further enhanced their chances with him. He had planned to visit Florida State this week, had to cancel that visit. Next month, he'll take an official to Alabama. He'll also see Mississippi State and Texas A&M. He's also been to Ole Miss several times. He's also been to LSU. Clemson offered 2020 offensive lineman Paul Chio, 6'5", 325 of Alpharetta, Georgia. He's a teammate of committed defensive back Joseph Charleston. Dorman offensive lineman John Gillott was offered by North Carolina on Tuesday. He'll take an unofficial visit there June 16th. Louisville and Pitt also recently offered. Clemson wants him to camp there, and he will this summer. Defensive back Devin Bush of New Orleans has Clemson in his top 3 with Tennessee and LSU. Defensive back Storm Duck of Boiling Springs was offered by West Virginia. I hope he goes to a local school so we can just say the name Storm Duck over and over again. Athlete Jalon Calhoun of Southside was offered by Penn State, and 6'6" Jawan Gary of Gray Collegiate has set November 15th for his decision. USC, Clemson, Alabama, Virginia Tech, and NC State, the top 5.
That's recruiting from Corn. Again, 21-4 Clemson leading Notre Dame here. We'll keep you updated from both. And also some more comments about Kelly Bryant being ahead of Trevor Lawrence. Some interesting ones from Tiger fans who might want to see the hair early.
Jerry Price, congratulations. Moving to the market table and let me come take these nice seats up close to some great baseball.
Did we get out okay, Brian?
Yeah, we did fine.
Okay. Yeah, I can't hear the music hardly at all when I'm talking or there's something else going on.
Anyone before me gets a shout out press? Yeah, you thought it was lose out of your last. As I walk through the valley with my bad ass face, on the west, they had to shove a new drink. And they all thought it was finished, they was left in their back. So I went and walked me and got to the ass to the back. Who tried to blitz all over there? That's all over there. I told you he fall down, sit there. Stand up.
I remember when a baseball park used to be like a quiet place between innings with maybe just some organ music or something playing in the background. I guess.
Leading off for Florida, the shortstop number 8, Deacon Lippett.
Although I walk through the valley of the shadow of death. Oh. And Terry.
This is the place to talk Tigers, Gamecocks, and more. Sports talk across the state on the South Carolina Radio Network.
Well, barring something that we saw earlier today from Clemson happening for Notre Dame, this will be the last segment I join you guys here before I go down for the post game with Monty Lee. It's 21-4, one out in the bottom of the 7th. Notre Dame needs 14 base runners to get the tying run of the plate. So that's where we stand right now here in the bottom of the 7th inning. As we continue here on Sports Talk South Carolina Radio Network, wanted to get this comment in about the Tiger quarterback situation. This is brought on our story on our website, SportsTalkSC.com, which details the Clemson football depth. So Kelly Bryant threatens to transfer to Arkansas to be with Chad Morris. Dabo releases the only depth chart in America with the wheels are coming off the bus after Hunter Johnson's transfer. Kelly, you're number one. The fans want T-Law. Everybody knows it. As a longtime Tiger booster, we Clemson fans know T-Law is number one. If we're going to beat Alabama, we need T-Law. We barely beat them with the best quarterback the first time. We need T-Law. Hear me, Dabo. Do you think the tenor of this fan base wants Trevor Lawrence to start right away, guys?
Well, first of all, I always question a poster or a email writer or anything like that when they say I'm a long time this or a long time that, and then who's to say that's not a Gamecock fan just going on there mimicking a Clemson fan to kind of rile them up a little bit. So we don't really know the veracity of the background of the person that is writing the post, assuming that he is a Clemson fan. I mean, I don't know. Yes, there's always a case made by the fan base for that next guy, kind of regardless of how good you've been as a veteran in a program. I mean, nobody ever questioned Deshaun Watson, of course. Nobody ever questioned Connor Shaw when he was winning all those games at South Carolina. Nobody pined for the backup in that situation. This is a completely different case because you've got a quarterback waiting in the wings who has been built up by everybody, probably including us to some degree, as we've talked about him. But, I mean, we're basing it only on what we've read coming out of his high school career and what we've read since he's gotten to Clemson. When everybody says this guy is the next great thing, and people want him to have the keys to the Cadillac from the get-go and see if they can make that thing hum even better than it has in the past. And they have in their minds what happened against Alabama offensively, and then Kelly's less than distinguished performance in the spring game. It probably concerned people as well. So, we're just going to have to wait and see what happens. I mean, that's all we can do. And if you're a Clemson fan, you just have to trust your coaching staff. They're going to play the best guy. Okay, I mean, I don't think Dabo Swinney's grown stupid overnight. Neither has Brandon Streeter and Tony Elliott and Jeff Scott. They're going to play the best guy.
It's a final here from Durham, 21-4. Clemson defeats Notre Dame. I'm going to try to see if I can get some Amani Lee's post-game for you all, and I bid you guys adieu. Carry on, as it were.
Okay, and Coin, to follow up on what you were saying is, it's kind of difficult to not look at a player and see what happens on the other side of the football. And even though it was a tough night against Alabama, that Alabama team looked like they were on a mission.
Yeah.
First of all, when you look at it, yeah, they got in the back door, but they got in, and everybody knew they were a good team. And that defense looked like they were not going to be denied that night. If they had to pitch a shutout, they were going to do it. So I think it would have been a tough for anybody quarterbacking that Clemson team on that night. Getting back to baseball, though, if I'm Clemson, see, here's where the fan in me comes in. Because I always say, what is it I say, Corn? Better save some of those runs for the next game. Maybe you scored too much in that game. 21 runs for Clemson. My goodness. And, of course, the tournament record, 17 runs in one inning. Unbelievable.
Well, they get a Miami team that's been playing really good baseball in their final season under Jim Morris. They were way down in the standings, and they have put together a nice winning streak at this point in time. So, and that's a team that went into Clemson and won a series against the Tigers. So Clemson should respect, Miami for everything that it's worth, both from its tradition and the way that it's playing now. The winner of that game moves on to the semifinals of the ACC tournament. So I'm sure that'll be an intense game, and they'll play that one like it's a championship game because that gets them into the semifinal part of the tournament. Here we are scoreless. We're in the bottom of the first. Florida is batting, runner on first, and nobody is out. Let me update a couple of other notes. And by the way, if you want to jump on the lines with us, we got time for your phone calls now. Hopefully, we'll get Monty Lee comments back up to you either live or before we sign off tonight, so you can hear what Monty had to say. But a couple of major items to pass along. First of all, USC Upstate has named Daniel Faig as its new athletic director starting on June 18th. He will be formally introduced next Tuesday at a press conference. He comes to Upstate from Southern Miss, where he was executive associate AD, assisting with day-to-day management and administration of all aspects of the Department of Intercollegiate Athletics. So that fills that job at Upstate. Now, report in the Spartanburg newspaper this afternoon, 5 school districts, including 3 in Spartanburg County, have filed a lawsuit seeking to overturn the high school league's placement of Union County in Region 3, 3A. Those districts are 1, 2, and 4, along with the Lawrence District 56 and Greenwood District 50. The suit was filed Monday against the league and Union County schools. The lawsuit was filed by Kenneth W. Nettles, an attorney with a group in Spartanburg, and it was filed in Richland County. The suit stems from the league's realignment plan, and the original plan kept Union County in 4A for the next 2 years, where it would continue competing in Region 2 4A with several Greenville County schools. Union County appealed that decision based on travel concerns and instructional time missed with long trips. Union County's argument centered on the school's proximity to schools in Region 2 3A and Region 3 3A. The appeal was denied 14-0 by the high school league's executive committee. That decision was reversed by a 4-3 decision by the league's appellate panel. The panel placed Union County in Region 3 3A with Woodruff, Mid-Carolina, Newberry, Clinton, and Emerald. The 5 school districts challenged the decision and the manner in which it was made. So, it's a convoluted story, no doubt. Anytime you have a lawsuit, it is, but that's the situation there. Union County is in Region 3 3A right now based on the decision by the appellate panel, and Union County wants to stay there. Those other schools do not want Union County to stay there, and that's what's led to that lawsuit. NASCAR Hall of Fame announced its new inductees for 2019 a little while ago. Here they are: Davey Allison, Jeff Gordon, Alan Kowicki, Roger Penske, and Jack Roush. And Jim Hunter, the late Jim Hunter, will receive the Landmark Award for outstanding contribution to NASCAR. Hard to argue with any of those, Pro, going into the NASCAR Hall of Fame.
The only argument I have is I thought Kowicki and Allison were already in.
No, it's taken for a new Hall of Fame, a relatively new Hall of Fame, it's taking them a while to work their way down through the list. And, I mean, look at Jeff Gordon. Here's a guy who won 93 races. That's third all time, and he's just now getting into the Hall of Fame. Of course, he's only been retired for a couple of years. I guess they had to wait for him to retire. Davey Allison, unfortunately, his early death back in 1993, he had won 19 races and 14 poles. No telling how many races he would have won back with Robert Yates building his engines back then. Alan Kowicki, of course, a NASCAR champion, and Roger Penske and Jack Roush, two of the great owners in the business, and Jim Hunter, who did so much for NASCAR and did so much for Darlington, getting his due from the organization as well. And they will be enshrined when they have the annual. When is that? I think that's in, I want to say it's in January when they have their enshrinement ceremonies. So congratulations to all those folks. One more quick note, a change on the North coaching staff for the 2018 North-South All-Star Game, the Touchstone Energy Bowl. Charlie Poole of McBee was replaced by Russell Blackston of Belton Honeypath. Got to hit a break, and we'll be back.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah.
I got Glenn from Augusta.
Okay.
And Bulldog Burke from Saluda.
Okay. Did I get out in time?
Yeah, perfect.
Oh, good. Because I could not hear the music. Glenn from, Glenn from Augusta, and who's the other one?
Bulldog Burke.
Okay. I'm going to pull up a digital clock here online. I need a clock. They give me a digital clock. I should have that all the time. Digital clock. Online digital clock stopwatch. 1930. All right, tell me if I'm right here.
Okay.
1930, 58, 59, 31, 3101, 02, 03,
You're like 3
04,
seconds
05.
behind.
How many?
3 seconds behind.
3 seconds behind.
Yeah, I got 31, 14, 15, 16, 17.
No, I'm right on you.
18,
I'm right with you.
19,
I'm right with you.
20.
Yeah, I'm right
21.
with you. I'm with you. Good. Wish there was a way to minimize this thing where I could have it on my screen. Woo! Bomb countdown.
Number 24, Cody Torres.
All right, back we are with Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network. Phil Kornblut here in Hoover at the SEC Tournament. Will Pelagic is in the Clemson postgame right now after the Tigers' big win over Notre Dame at the ACC Tournament. Professor Tom Hayes back at our studios in downtown Columbia. And let's see, I think all the teams from our state have completed play today except for Winthrop, which is playing in the losers bracket game of the Big South Tournament after losing earlier today. Charleston won its game earlier today to advance at the CAA, and so the Cougars continue to have a good season. Coastal Carolina, of course, a team that is vying for a regional site, perhaps a 12-2 winner today, and so Coastal Carolina wins at the Sunbelt Tournament, advances there, and we're waiting on Winthrop and Gardner-Webb. I'm sorry, Winthrop and Longwood. Winthrop and Longwood, they play tonight at 8 o'clock. Winthrop fell into the losers bracket earlier today after losing its game 7-5 to Gardner-Webb, and Furman has lost to Samford 4-0 in the Southern Conference Tournament. Here, we are scoreless in the top of the second inning, Florida and LSU. Let's hit the phones here for a little bit. 800-956-7266. Glenn in Augusta, welcome into Sports Talk. How are you?
I got news for you. I'm a little south from there, North Charleston.
Oh, this is Glenn in North Charleston. Why did I hear Augusta? Or maybe I wrote it down wrong. Anyway, good to have you, Glenn. What's up?
No, I was just so glad. I told Will a few days before, and Corn, I'm disappointed in you. Yesterday, ye of little faith. Carolina pulled an upset, and beautiful at the end with a double play. And I was a true Gamecock. I sat through the game. I was with them all the way. At 3 a.m. Actually, game was over at 2:40 a.m.
Yeah. It was
at the end of the game. It was like 3.
Yeah.
So I'm tired, but I'm a trooper. I kept going. So,
well, you should be saluted. Anybody that stayed up to watch that game to the end should be saluted. I'm afraid you're going to be in for another late night tonight.
That's okay. That's okay. That's my job to report on games. I'm a writer, and I love writing about it, but I don't like writing about gossip because mudslinging don't accomplish anything, and judging when you don't know the guy's situation or anything. I believe they should just hold off till they hear all the facts.
Well, in this day and age of the internet and Twitter and everything else, where there's instant communication and instant novelty by somebody who puts something out on social media, it's hard to wait for all the facts to come in. I mean, I think we're all guilty of it in the media now. We hear something, we trust what we hear, and we rush to put it out there in that race to get that first attention from everybody and then let it play out from there. Thank you, Glenn. Appreciate your phone call. We head to Saluda, Bulldog Bert. How are you, sir? Nice job by your Bulldogs today. I think that's just a sign of things to come in upcoming sporting events for the Georgia athletic program. The 7-0 shutout today by Texas A&M. What do you think?
Very happy about that, and I believe you're right on that. I was wanting to get tell in the story about Union.
Yeah.
And I know Woodruff filed an injunction against the high school league today.
Right. Several schools were involved in this lawsuit. And as I'm talking, LSU just had a 2-run homer to take a 2-0 lead on Florida. That kind of threw me off there for just a second. Right. Yes, a number of school districts joined in on this lawsuit, as I mentioned a moment ago, against the high school league. Basically, they don't want Union County in 3A. They don't want Union County in Region 3A. They are challenging that decision and the manner in which it was made. And it says here, as part of the lawsuit, like part of their argument, while putting Union County in that particular region, it does alleviate travel problems, but it also makes the school the largest in the region by 300 students. And the districts also raised questions about the notification process surrounding the move. This is from a story written by the Spartanburg Herald Journal. So, I mean, they feel like it's going to be a competitive advantage for Union County to be that much larger against the other teams in its region if that's allowed to stay.
Yes, and I agree. The way it was done and everything, in fairness, you want to use that as a rule. That seems to be the day of that. And so, what will probably happen is we'll be in the same region we were the last 2 years, 2016, 2018. Probably be in that region for 2018 through 20. So it'll be interesting to see how it all works out. So are you going to put that on your website?
No, if you go to the Spartanburg website, go to goupstate.com. The story will be right there for you.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much.
Yeah, it's their story, so go to their website, goupstate.com. Jed Blackwell wrote it, so you can get all the details there. And you know, Pro, I mean, I understand it's a prickly situation in that you're on the one hand, if you move them up 4A and you put them in that region with Greenville County schools, I mean, Union County's way over there and Greenville is way over here. And so you're asking them to bus their students, to bus their athletes on the road a long distance. And also, of course, that affects schoolwork and time in classes as they have to leave early to go on some of these trips. I can understand Union County's argument, but then again, I can also see the argument from the other side because it will allow Union County to have a huge advantage from an enrollment standpoint over the other teams. What do you do?
My way of thinking is somebody's got to be the largest school in a region. I mean, come on. I mean, you're not going to get this balance that everybody wants. What school is that down in the Charleston area? Nobody's bigger than they are. Wando. Any region they're the biggest school. I mean, you're going to have the biggest schools. Just play football. That doesn't mean they have a advantage because they got more students. We've seen a lot of students. Did we hear about Wando had so many students, 5,000 students, 4,000 students, and still it was tough to get guys to come out for football.
Yeah, you're right about that. What you have to look at, of course, is going to be at the top of 3A to the bottom of 3A. There's going to be a significant difference between those schools. I mean, the teams at the bottom of a classification would prefer to be dropped down to that next classification, so they'll be one of the bigger schools in that classification. See, that is what Union County has going for it. It would be one of the smaller 4A schools. It'll be one of the bigger 3A schools. Conway was opposed to moving up to 5A back when they did that because Conway just barely was over the cutoff to move up to 5A. Had they stayed in 4A, they would have been one of the big 4As. I mean, you're right. There's no way around that. I guess if you're in the region, you want to feel like the teams in the region are comparable in terms of enrollment so the competitive balance isn't skewed to one particular school.
Yeah, and sometimes I think really the travel ramifications outrule that. I mean, it's just not good, especially the way people look at football now and trying to keep down injuries. Let's face it, one of the things that happens in football when guys get injured is when they get tired. Maybe those extra few miles may mean an ankle injury or whatever. You never know.
Yeah, I think you have to consider that, and you also have to consider the impact on the academic side of too. I mean, come on, let's remember they're in school. These aren't college athletes where they can be abused because of television schedules and things of that nature. I mean, let's let the high school students be high school students for as long as they can. All right, thanks for the phone calls. 800-956-7266 is our number if you want to jump in here in the final minutes of the show. Will is in the Clemson locker room. Hopefully he'll get back up to us here soon as he can to get us some comments from Monty Lee. I would imagine that Clemson went second in the press conference, and it'll be a little while before he can get back up to us. Here it is 2-0 LSU over Florida, and we'll be back. Oh, yeah. Yeah, having that online clock was a move of genius. Move of genius. All right, to Tell Pro, we're going to talk about the NFL's new policy when we come back. And you got anybody holding?
No, nobody's holding.
All right. If we do get a caller while I'm talking, just break in on me and let me know.
They'll hear it on the air if I do that.
That's okay. I mean, I can't think of any other way to do it unless you you can text me.
I can text you.
Yeah. Text me if you get a caller, who it is. You know, $21-4. Damn. 17-run inning. God almighty. You would think just accidentally they'd score get 3 outs in there before they scored 17 runs. I'll tell you, Clemson looks like they could be Omaha bound. All I can say is no. Daniel Ramsey, 2019, Deerfield, Windsor. Daniel Ramsey. Hey, Brian, when we come, I'll let the music play for about 8 or 10 seconds, and you can bring it down.
Okay.
Start talking. Daniel.
Now back to Sports Talk, South Carolina's most listened to sports talk show for more than 30 years.
Turning into a beautiful evening here in Hoover, Alabama, the SEC tournament. Phil Kornblut here, the Professor Tom Hayes in Columbia, Will Pelagic at the ACC tournament in Durham, North Carolina. Clemson, a huge winner, 17 runs in an inning. I mean, you would just think a team would accidentally make 3 outs in there before they score 17 runs. That is mind-boggling. Here it's LSU 2-0 over Florida. 2 outs in the bottom of the second, and Florida has a runner on first. A basketball note, Clemson this evening with an offer out to 6'8" Daniel Ramsey from Albany, Georgia. He's got a lot of big-time offers as well. Florida, Georgia, Georgia Tech, Tennessee, Vanderbilt, Xavier, Ohio State, Texas A&M, Vanderbilt. I said Vanderbilt. Wake Forest, just to name a few. So Clemson is on the board with him. We are waiting for Will to get back with us from the Clemson locker room. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I was about to say, I had 2 thoughts when I saw the 17 go up on the board. By the way, I think the scoreboard in Durham, the scoreboard that I think they load by hand back there, the old style, I don't think they had room for 17, so they just put 7 up. But yeah, but the interest, what I was thinking about is when I saw 17, I say 17 runs, 17 scores. Is that what a Trevor Lawrence quarter is going to look like? That's what I thought.
See, we cannot bring Trevor Lawrence into everything Clemson does athletically, all right?
Yeah, then the other thing I thought of, you and I both know what would have happened in the major league level if you even score a few runs. Somebody would have gotten the old beanball.
Yeah, there would have been some tower buzzing for sure. I would think in the majors. Will just notified me he's on his way back up to his position, and as quickly as he can get Monty to the studios, we'll get a little bit of that on the air. So stay tuned for that. We do want to touch on the announcement today by the NFL about its new policy regarding its players and how the league is requiring the teams to handle the national anthem now. And my initial response was, it's about time. And my second response is, way to go, NFL. I applaud you for that, and the NFL listening to its fans more than anything else for the most part. Now, this was reported as a unanimous decision by the owners. I've already seen where the owners of the Jets coming out and saying that he'll pay for any fines that his players might incur in this situation. So, way to toe the line there, you loser. This is the Jets acting owner, whoever that is, says he'll pay players anthem fines. But, to me, it's very simple, It's very simple. The NFL is a business. As a business, it has teams who have owners. The owners are the bosses of those teams. And if your boss says this is how it's going to be, if you're going to work for me and I'm going to write your paycheck, then this is how it's going to be. It's in every line of work. And the NFL should not be excluded from that. And so to me, it's beyond politics and it's beyond sports. It's about how an owner wants his employees to act in the workplace. What you do on your own time, what you do in your neighborhood, that's up to you, fine and dandy. But when you're on my dime and I've got paying customers who are unhappy and I'm losing money and I'm losing viewership, then I've got to take steps to ensure that that is reversed. So I applaud the NFL. I think they're doing the right thing. And what they said basically is if you come out of the locker room with your team for the national anthem, you will stand and respect the anthem and the flag. Otherwise, you will stay in the locker room and come out later. Now, could that create some problems down the road between players and all that? It's entirely possible.
No, I don't think it will. A couple of things. I think the NFL owners had to save face. So they passed these rules. But we know what's going to happen. It started with Mike Tomlin last year. He's just going to keep their NFL teams are going to start keeping their teams in the locker room. The interesting thing people don't understand is the NFL started having their players on the sidelines standing for the national anthem only since 2008 or 2009. You think a league that's 70-something years old, this practice would have started long before then, but it has not. It's been very short-lived, less than a decade. But I'm feeling that maybe that most teams will do like the NCAA, because all the college teams, I think their players actually come on the field after the national anthem is played. So I think that's what's going to happen.
All right. We shall see. 2-0 LSU over Florida here. Will is back at his position in Durham after hearing from Monty Lee. Will?
Real quickly, Corn, had a chance to talk to Monty Lee after the game. We started out by asking him about the 48-minute lightning delay. Clemson trailed 3-0 at the beginning of that delay, but then they scored 17 unanswered runs following.
It was I felt really good about our club over the last weekend at Pitt. Felt like we played good baseball at Pitt and felt like we'd had some good practices. Felt like there was just a lot of really good vibes with our club going into today's game. So I felt good about it. I think it was just a matter, again, of somebody getting on base and getting some momentum going. And it kind of started with Hawkins to lead off there. I want to say in the third inning. Hit a double down the line, and then we score a run on a 2-out hit by Wilkie. And, the next thing you know, you could see that momentum start to turn, and we're just a big momentum offense. So I felt like we just needed to get a couple guys on base, get a hit with runners in scoring position. It's just amazing with our club how well we play offensively when we hit well early in the game with runners in scoring position. You saw it in Pitt. Early in game one when we scored 16 runs in that game. We had the one inning where we swung the bats really well. Wharton, I think, with a 2-strike hit in that game in that situation to get us going there. But you could just kind of see it going. I think Wilkie's at bat, with 2 outs. We knew at that point that the momentum was getting ready to shift in our dugout. And I think Matt Clark had a big part of that as well. For Matt to be able to pitch out of that spot, was pretty big for us at that point in the ball game.
With this game, this is not necessarily affecting your spot in the standing of the pool. How impressed are you with your group to be able to, keep the eyes on the prize and eyes on the task at hand, and also to respond in such a way, like you said, after the rain delay, with as much of an approach as you guys had?
Well, I think our players will tell you that if any of them had any sort of inclination that this game didn't matter, how much that would bother me. So, that's a big deal in our program. Like we never, ever, ever talk about the importance or lack of importance of one game versus another. So our big messages are always be consistent, regardless of the opponent, regardless of what game you're in midweek, Friday night, Saturday, Sunday, trying to win a series, trying to get back in a series, doesn't matter to us. And the bottom line is we want to play good baseball. So I think that's just kind of a message that these guys have heard, since they've been here, is that every day matters to us, and we want to play good baseball regardless. We knew that. I think everybody knew that as far as the tournament goes, that it didn't have an impact on the tournament, but it certainly does. When you swing the bat the way that we swung the bat today, and we pitched the way that we pitched today, we certainly hope that we can carry some positive momentum into tomorrow's game. And again, we're trying to put ourselves in a position to be a national seed on top of that. So this game certainly did matter.
That's Monty Lee after the victory over Notre Dame. They win it very convincingly, 21-4. South Carolina did not against Arkansas. You were wrong once last night, Corn. What happens tonight?
I got to quit picking against the Gamecocks. That's not working in my favor. All right. Logan Chapman's going to have a great night. The Gamecocks are going to grind and nick and pull, and they're going to find a way to beat Arkansas and move on to play in the winners bracket tomorrow night against either LSU or Florida. LSU up 2-0 right now. I'm putting my hat on the Gamecocks.
We will have a whole bunch more from Hoover and Durham and Columbia tomorrow. No one else does radio like we do it here at Sports Talk.
Okay.
All right, Corey, you good?
Sure. Just want to do the recruiting report.
Yeah, we can do it.
Let me know when you're ready. Don't drop me this time.
I won't, man. Hold on, Corey. Let me turn this Periscope off.
Okay.
All right, I'm rolling.
Okay. You already shut Will down? You already shut Will down?
I'm still here.
Okay. All right. I'll do wraps for the morning. What are you doing? You going to do wraps for the morning too?
I can.
Okay. You probably should, since their game went into the evening, so you might as well do wraps. That way I'll keep mine. Thank you. I'll keep mine. I won't go as long as I did last night, so I'll keep mine to about 45 seconds. I guess you should probably do the same thing.
That's fine.
Okay. All right. You got any other questions?
How best to handle the inevitable firestorm that because I didn't confront them yet because I ran up to try and get this on the air.
Well, I mean, listen, you don't have to say anything to him. I did respond to Will on Twitter. And you can go back and